Ms. Lightfoot, Senator Bennett and I and others have introduced the FAST Act, which would simplify student aid forms. You referred to it. Would you explain to the committee why it makes a difference to provide students with their financial aid eligibility information in their junior year in high school rather than their senior year? What difference would that make?
Oh, absolutely.
In college search.
Absolutely. So most families can file their FAFSAs in January. Some colleges will get financial aid packages to students
of their senior
year. Absolutely. So January of the senior year, and they need the prior year taxes. So when a student fills out the FAFSA and their families fill out the FAFSA in January, some colleges can get those packages back in March, some in April, some in May. Some state schools don't give students their financial aid award letters until June, which does not give students enough time to make informed decisions, especially if there is a financial gap where the student may not have enough money to go to their first choice.
Or they might be expected to begin college in August.
Absolutely. So in my written testimony, I talked about a student who received a financial aid package and did not have enough money to complete his first semester of college. And that student had to drop out of school after his first semester, and at the age of 26 can no longer enroll in another school because he had acquired debt from his first semester going to a particular college. Had he had information the year before, he could have spent that year making up the difference, working longer hours, and using more strategies, applying for more scholarships to fill in the financial aid gap. But it doesn't give students enough time to plan. And a lot of our low-income, underrepresented students, families don't plan financially for their education, and they rely on federal funds and state funds to do that. But when they realize—
I go on to another question.
Absolutely.
We've got a limited amount of time. That's very, very helpful. Mr. Schneider, you've been on both sides of it. You've been in the government collecting information, and you've been out in the private sector trying to help states disseminate that information to students to make the right choice. This is the 900-page document, if I understand this correctly. This is what every institution has to disclose because we require them to. Now, how do you get this information into the hands of students in a useful way to choose among the 6,000 institutions we have? What you say in your testimony is, while the federal government can be a powerful actor in creating databases, it's far from the best actor when it comes to disseminating the data in a usable form. The long and contentious history of gainful employment and the shorter but equally fraught history of the current attempts to create a college rating system show the dangers of federal overreach. I believe the federal government should help create high-quality databases and then make the data widely available. Many efforts will follow as state companies, other efforts, experiments with different user interfaces. So are you saying how much data should the government collect? Is it all that's needed? And second, who should try to put the data in the hands of the students? You seem to think the federal government is not particularly good at that part of the job.
That is correct. So the statute of limitations on me apologizing for iPads is expired. So when I was at NCS, I spent a lot of time apologizing for it, but that's gone. So yes, iPads. So you have to remember, of course, that that iPads has just expanded over time. It fulfills many purposes.
Explain iPads.
The Integrated Post-Secondary Education Data System, which is—
That's this?
That is that,
yeah.
Right? That's the printed version of that. And as you know, and you noted in the white paper you put out about consumer information, much of the data collected in iPads is congressionally mandated. So at NCS, we tried very hard to reduce some of the burden on institutions, but the fact of the matter is that we could not say we're not collecting these data because various laws said these data must be collected. So a lot of the data that's collected has been mandated by Congress for a variety of purposes, not necessarily for consumer information. I think there was remarkable agreement among the people, the witnesses, about a handful of measures, if we're really really serious about consumer information, there's a handful of measures that students need to know. And I listed the five questions that I thought could structure the data that is required or that's needed for students to understand what their choices are. And I believe that the federal government can, for example, do a much better job in collecting the wage data and the labor outcome data than any state or private institution can do. But the fact of the matter is that those data need to be disseminated to other federal agencies, to state governments, to researchers, to companies, so that we could all experiment with different kinds of interfaces, apps, different kinds of applications, websites that would help students make a much better choice about where to go and what to study.
Thank you, Dr. Schneider. Senator Murray.